Hello, I'm Tim Selby from Heart of Steamboat, coming to you today from the beautiful Yampa Valley Botanic Park. What a beautiful place this is. What a beautiful morning. And a beautiful day as we continue our series on the beauty and the wisdom we find in Norman Maclean's small book, A River Runs Through It. In this book, Norman Maclean is the author, and he writes about his family and their life together. Some of what he writes about is his little brother, Paul. Paul is a fly fisherman, and he's good. Actually, he's more than good. He's an artist. Paul has a skill and grace on the water that few can match, an artistry that his older brother cannot reach for, but only admire. But Paul is also troubled. He struggles with addiction, both alcohol and gambling. And throughout the book, we see his struggles with these things, and we see running through the book, we see the theme of Norman writing about his brother, his admiration for his brother, but also his concern for his destructive behaviors. Throughout the book, we see this space that is somehow between them, between Norman and his brother Paul, between Paul and his parents. They all love each other deeply, but a space somehow remains between them nonetheless. Now, in this book, they try to help Paul, and it's not just a book; it's an autobiographical work. In their story, in their life story, they try to help Paul. The parents try to help him. His brother Norman tries to help him, but their help is not fruitful. And though they try to help him with all they have, the worst comes to pass. As one day Paul is found beaten to death, no doubt a result of his destructive behaviors. In this pain and anguish, his father, a pastor who has tried to help so many through the course of his life, is left to ask the question, did I do enough? Did I do enough for my own son? And we see him ask his other son, Norman. He asks Norman, do you think I did enough for him? And Norman answers him by saying, do you think I did enough for him? And then the two of them stand in an awkward silence, the kind of silence we have when we have no answers to our questions. In the movie adaptation of this book, done by Robert Redford, which is really great, if you haven't seen it, get on Amazon or wherever you get the movies and watch A River Runs Through It. Really well done film. And in this film, we see Norman late in his life with his wife and his children, listening to what he says is the last sermon he ever heard his father give. And in this sermon, his father reflects and shares these words. He says, and so it is that each one of us, at some time in our lives, will look upon a loved one who is in need and ask the same question. We are willing to help, Lord, but what, if anything, is needed? For it is true, we can seldom help those closest to us. Either we don't know what part of ourselves to give, or more often than not, the part we have to give is not wanted. And so it is those we live with and should know who elude us. But we can still love them. We can love completely without complete understanding. This is one of the most commonly quoted lines from this book. And I think that's true because it connects so deeply with so many people. I think most of us would affirm the truth of this verse. It's one of the great struggles of human relationships. You've known it. If you've ever sat with somebody who's suffering and not known what to say, or more likely than not known that there really are no words. If you've ever been with somebody who's in difficulty and wanted to help but didn't know how, or you've tried to help but it didn't work, or maybe your help wasn't what someone wanted at all. We wonder, Why can't we seem to close the space between us sometimes? Why can't we seem to help those that we love so dearly? You've probably known this if you've ever had that kind of relationship with somebody in your life, with a mother or a father or a son or a daughter or a sister or a brother or a friend, someone that you maybe longed to help but weren't able to. Perhaps somebody struggling with an addiction or a dementia. Perhaps there's been a wounded relationship and you can't get by it. Perhaps you've loved someone who's dealt with depression or somebody that's taken their own life. Or maybe the most mysterious of all, the people in your life that you love, but there's a space between you and there doesn't seem to be anything in the way, but somehow the space and the disconnection still remains. And the people we love most can elude us. I want to lift up a scripture today from first letter of Paul to the Corinthian church. 13th chapter is a chapter on love, one we come back to over and over again. It says some amazing things about love. It says love is patient and love is kind. It's not arrogant or boastful or rude. It does not seek its own. It does not keep records of wrongs. That it rejoices with the truth. That love never fails. But then what gets read sometimes a little bit less in that verse is the part that says, now we see in a mirror dimly, but then we shall see face to face. Now we know only in part, but then we will fully know. I think this scripture seems to tell us that now is not the time for understanding. There is so much in life that we don't understand, and we often equate love with control. You know, if I love you enough, I can fix you. If I love you enough, I can make you change. If I love you enough, things will work out the way that I want them to work out. But the more we live, the more we love, the more we learn, I think the more that we know love can and never will be about control at all, but about something deeper, about the bond that binds us together beyond our understanding. That scripture concludes by saying, in the end, there's three things that remain: faith and hope and love. And the greatest of them is love. Love is that which remains. Love is that which carries on. And so I hope we hear this word from the book this morning that tells us we can love completely without complete understanding. You might have people in your life you feel like you don't understand. You're disconnected. There's space between you, but you still love them. And I invite you to hold on to that love, even with that lack of understanding. There's so much we don't understand. And the scripture in Corinthians, now we see dimly. We don't see clearly. We don't understand. Understanding is for later. To fully know someone or be fully known is really for later. Do we ever really fully understand someone? Do we ever really fully understand ourselves? But for now, it's the love that must suffice. It's the love that must sustain us, and I believe that the love will sustain us. It's love that will hold us together. So I'm going to invite you to, in some way, wherever you may be, to find a stone. I have a stone here, and to hold a stone as a bit of a blessing stone here. To hold that stone and to hold the intention of somebody that you love and maybe have some space between you. To hold that stone and to think of their name, think of who they are, and to bless that stone with your love for them as a blessing for that person. And then I'm going to throw mine in the water in the pond behind me and invite you to maybe find some water, a river, a lake, a pond, a creek, or something to throw your stone in. And as we say that prayer and a blessing of that person and we throw the stone, it's a symbol of our letting go, of our ideas of control, of our letting go of the idea that we think we should be able to fix things or make things right or make things perfect. Our idea of letting go of that holding the love, but letting go of the control we wish we had, but we don't. And maybe it's somebody who's passed on before us, who's died, and the relationship wasn't what you wanted it to be, or you wanted to help them and you couldn't. But maybe it's just a blessing of that love that still remains nonetheless, because as we are taught in that particular scripture in the end, it's love that remains. So hold a stone, hold a person in mind, send them your love and your grace. And then I invite you to let that go. Let it go and trust that our love remains and our love holds us even when we don't understand. Someday, scriptures tell us that we will, but not right now. But we do know is it's love indeed. Indeed, it's love that holds us and binds us together. May you be filled with love and grace and peace in your life. I appreciate you joining me and pray that you enjoy these beautiful, beautiful summer days. Thank you for being here.